So one of the pieces of the Chardonnay story that a lot of people focus on is clone. And, you know, grapes have clones. It's not like in the kind of the high-tech way. People have been cloning grapes since the Roman times. Okay, so a clone on a grape is you take a piece of stick in the middle of winter, you cut about this much off of it, and you stab it in the ground. And then the plant that grows is genetically the same as the plant it came from. And so that's called a clone. And it's the same as like strawberries. You know, you've got your TriStar strawberry, and you've got your hood strawberry, and you've got your totem strawberry, but they're all strawberries. So within the clones, there are differences. Some clones ripen earlier, some clones ripen later, some clones have big clusters, some clones have little clusters, some clones have more kind of Chardonnay tropical flavors, others tend to be more mineral. So a lot of people have kind of started to fixate or fetishize on clone as being sort of the be-all and end-all of what makes good Chardonnay. But I had a great conversation with David Schildknecht, who's a wine writer, about clone, and he said something that was wonderful. He said, there are no magic beans. So, you know, if you want your beanstalk to grow to the sky and go up there and, you know, climb that thing, there's no such thing. If you want to make great Chardonnay, you have to make it the same way that you make great Pinot Noir. People don't fixate on clone and Pinot Noir the way they do with Chardonnay. And that is, find the right place to plant it, grow it really well, and don't screw it up in the winery. And so that's the secret. That said, I tend to be partial to what we call heritage clones, starting with our own clone, the Eyrie Clone. Came from Jerry Draper's farm on Spring Mountain. That place is now called Spring Mountain Vineyard. Mm-hmm. But in those days, they had Chardonnay planted there. And since then, they've had 2 waves of phylloxera. All those Chardonnay vines have been pulled out and replaced by Cabernet. And so at this point, I believe that Eyrie plantings and a few other plantings that folks at my folks sold cuttings to in the early days are the last remaining remnant of this Spring Mountain clone of Chardonnay. And so we actually sent some of this back to the University of California, Davis, and they're in the process of certifying that and getting it back onto the market again. And when it comes back, it'll be called the Eyrie Clone of Chardonnay, if it gets back, funding dependent. There are other clones of Chardonnay out there that are also kind of fit into that heritage clone category, and so we recently just planted some new plantings of Chardonnay. And we planted the Winty clone, which is a clone that was brought to the United States back in the 1930s from Burgundy. And then we also planted the Sterling clone. The origins of that are a little bit more mysterious, but it has a different flavor profile from the Winty. And I'm just interested in trying it here and seeing what it does.